Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf, CHULLIN Kuf Yudalet. We are holding 8 lines from the top of the Amud. Now, yesterday we left off with a discussion regarding Isur Chal al Isur. Can you double up Isurim? Can you add one Isur on top of the other? For instance, if you have some food material which is already forbidden due to the fact that it's chaylev, the fact that it's some other forbidden food, and then it's cooked together with milk, what happens now? Do we add another layer of Isser on that pre-existing Isser, or not? So we had an opinion which said, no. Ein Isser Chalal Isser. Here comes a kasha, meisvei. A kasha from a brisa, which begins with other items, and then leads into the discussion of doubling up Isurim. Meisvei, hamavashal b'mei chalav. If one is to cook a piece of meat with mei chalav, the water of milk, that's the watery milk residue, which separates upon the curdling of the milk when you make cheese, so that watery substance which flows away, which drains away, which they call whey, right? W-H-E-Y. If one cooks in that material, that's not considered milk with respect to basar b'chalav, and he's patur, he's exempt. Likewise, dam shebishlei b'chalav patur, he cooks blood. Blood is not meat. He cooks it with milk. He's patur. Dam shebishlei b'chalav patur. Likewise, in edibles of the animal, hatzames, bones, vagidim, the sinews, vakarnayim, the horns, vatlafayim, or hooves, shebishlei b'chalav, cooked in milk, they're not considered edible. They're not considered meat, and he is patur. However, hapigol, v'hanoisar, v'hatame, you have meat material from a korban, which is disqualified due to the fact that it's pigel. The kohen doing the avodah, had an improper thought to process it next week. That disqualifies the korban noisar, or it's left over beyond its expiry date, or it became tameh. And these are already asr to be consumed as is. And then he goes and adds another issue. Shebishlam b'chalav, cooks them with milk, he is chayav for the second Isra as well, so you can double up Isurim. Says the Gemara, you're right, Haitana, this opinion just presented is based on the Tana's opinion that Savar, he holds Isur, Chalal Isur, you can double up Isurim, which is a big machlokes, and the previous opinion disagrees. Now, let's dwell on the whey. Mevashal b'mei pater, he cooks in this watery milk residue, he's pater. Why? Because we don't consider it, true original milk. This is a proof, a raya, support the Reish Lakish Desnan, because we have a Mishnah which actually says Mei chalav harihenka chalav, whey is considered like milk. V'hamoichel, and the drippings off the olives while they're sitting and softening and before they're actually pressed for their oil. So this dripping, v'hamoichel hariyu kashem, is regarded like oil. So says the Mishnah. On this, we have Amar Reish Lakish. He explains, Lo Shana, when do we say that whey is considered milk? Ela lahachsher roim, regarding hechsher roim. So if it falls on some produce which needs to get wet in order to be susceptible to tumah, right? That's called hechsher roim, and he needs to be exposed to one of the 7 primary liquids, amongst which we have milk, water, blood, right? So whey qualifies as well. If it lands on a fruit, it becomes huchshur l'kabel tumah. So regarding that, we consider the mei chalav like chalav. Aval in bishul basar b'chalav. But with respect to the prohibition of cooking milk and meat together, mei chalav einon kechalav, whey is not considered like milk. And then Farshim explain there were several explanations to this Gemara. What's the difference? Is it or is it not milk? How could you say that it's milk regarding one thing and not regarding the other? So some learn that it's not really milk anymore. It's so watered down that it's not really milk. But regarding hechsher roim, you don't even need milk. Fine, let it not be milk. But at least it's like water. Look, it's either one or the other, right? Either milk or water. Either way, it accomplishes the same. Because hechsher roim works whether it's milk or water. Another way to explain is that really it's technically milk. It's classified as milk, but not regarding basar b'chalav. Over there, where the pasuk says b'chalev imay, in its mother's milk, in its original form, in its concentrated form, as opposed to whey, which does not have that. Tanu Rabbanan. So we have the pasuk loisavashal gedi b'chalev imay mentioned several times in the Torah, which teach us many things. Tanu Rabbanan b'chalev imay. Do not cook meat together with its mother's milk. No, so perhaps, the pasuk speaking about a goat, so perhaps only in goat's milk would present an issue. So perhaps only its mother's milk, meaning a goat like itself. What about to have meat of a goat cooked with milk of a cow, of a sheep, a chalev para, of a rachel, or a sheep benign? How do we know to include that as well? Amris. The answer is like this. It's plain logic. It's a kal v'chomer. Uma imoy. Look. The goat with its mother, right, are the same type, same species, right? Shaloi nesri imoy bahar bo. Arba means crossbreeding. There's no issue crossbreeding them. They're the same type. So despite the absence of this, let's call it a separation factor, there's no separation factor regarding breeding. Nevertheless, they are meant to be kept separate regarding cooking. You can't cook a piece of a goat with the milk of its mother. Certainly a part of a rachel, an animal of a different type, a cow, etc., which cannot be crossbred with this goat over here. Shenesru, they're banned. Imoy baharbot, to be crossbred with this goat, they're totally different types. So we have that pre-existing separating factor, so to speak. Certainly you can't cook them together. And then, of course, wouldn't it lend to reason? Shenesru imoy bibishul, you can't cook them together. Talmud leimar. Comes the pasuk b'chalev imay, which likewise tells you, it's an extra b'chalev imay, it says it many times, to tell you that the ban applies not only with goat's milk, but also with cow's milk, etc. Hold it, why a pasuk? We have just proved it with the kal v'chomer. Why this extra pasuk? Honestly, we have already derived it from the kal v'chomer. Rashi, the kal v'chomer is not so simple. You can really challenge the kal v'chomer at the first step. Mishum dikla meimar, you can say meikara dadina, at the initial step of that kal v'chomer pircha, you can refute it, you can challenge it. Look, where are you coming from? The equation begins by presenting that a goat with its own type, with its own mother, despite the fact that there is no crossbreed issue there, so there's no separation factor, still they cannot be cooked together, etc., etc., right? Where are you coming from? Its own mother. Well, regarding a mother, there is actually a separation factor. You know what that is? You can't do shchita on oisay ve'ez benoy on the same day. We learned that a while ago. You can't shecht a mother and offspring on the same day. So there is a separating factor there already. Mal ima, regarding its mother, Shekain Nasri may be shchita, of course. You can't cook them together because there is a separation factor there. You can't be shechting them together. Time of a par, as opposed to the matchup between a goat and a cow, where there is no issue of shechting them on the same day. You can shecht a cow and a sheep and a goat on the same day. Shalei Nasra. Imay be shchita. There is no separation factor regarding shchita, so perhaps you can cook them together as well. Talmud leimar. That's why we have a pasuk, the extra pasuk b'chalev imay, to cover even other varieties. So you can't cook a piece of goat milk, meat together with any type of milk, be it from a goat, cow, or sheep. Tani yidach. Here comes another brisa. It says b'chalev imay again, right? Ainli ela b'chalev imay. So from the first b'chalev imay, I would say, okay, it only includes its own mother's milk. B'chalev achoysoy gdoila minayin. What about its older sister? Rashi, in the second pshat, which he likes, which he favors, explains the Gemara as follows. Achoysa means like a sister, like a sibling. It just means to say its own type. A goat like him. And gdoila means it's an older one, from a different year, from a different crop, a different season, which cannot be joined together with this newborn sheep, a newborn goat, in a master behema arrangement. Once a season, they do master behema. So basically all the newborns are gathered together in the pen, and they're lined up, right? They're taken out one at a time, and the 10th one is separated and designated as Maser Behema. Now the Chacham instituted that they do it 3 times a year, but technically it's an annual contract, which means to say that all those born within this year can technically join together in this Maser Behema, tithing arrangement. But you can't combine last year's crop with this year's crop. A Chosek Gedolei means an older one, a veteran sheep from last year, veteran goat from last year. So there's already a sort of a separation factor between last year's goat and this year's goat because they can't join together in the Maser Behema arrangement. Okay, so that's sort of the precept of this price. So we're trying to learn a source to ban cooking a piece of this year's goat with last year's goat's milk. If, with respect to its own mother, a young mother who's part of the same crop as the offspring, they were both born this year, okay? Which can enter together with this offspring into the panless aser to undergo Maser Behema. They're both of the same, class, the same. So despite the fact that they have that togetherness and lack of separation with respect to Maser Behema, Neser, maybe Bishol, you still cannot cook them together. Certainly Achoisei, the veteran goat, which cannot join this newborn in the pen for Maser Behema. So there's already that pre-existing separating factor. Ein certainly, wouldn't you agree, you can't cook them together. Shenes or maybe Bishol. Talmud comes the pasuk b'chalev imoi, which says this mix as well is banned. Why a pasuk? We just established through a kal v'chomer, but lama likra ha'asili. We've just produced it through a kal v'chomer. Amar Rashi once again, because the kal v'chomer is really a bit shaky. Maybe you can suggest meikar dadina, the beginning, the first step of the kal v'chomer pircha. You can challenge it. Where are you coming from? The mother. Mecha kamaisis lama imoi, right? If with respect to its mother, which is so close, regarding Maser Behema, you still can't cook them together, etc., etc. Well, mother isn't necessarily so close. Remember, there's that separation factor regarding shechita on the same day. You can't shech them on the same day. So perhaps that explains why you can't cook them together, as opposed to the goat, be it an older goat, but still you can shech them together. There's nothing wrong shechting the older goat with the younger goat. They're both offspring. They're both, right? So I would think perhaps you can cook them together as well. Now we need the pasuk b'chalev imai, the extra b'chalev imai, to cover this as well. Okay, so we've established so far 2 things. You may not mix a goat with even cow's milk or sheep's milk. Number 2, you can't mix it with the milk of an older goat. What about the milk of a younger goat of this year? You've established regarding the older goat. What about a younger goat? Which technically is closer to home because you can do Maser Behema on both of them together, so maybe you can cook them together. Well, says the Gemara, it can be derived by way of a common denominator, using both of those as a precedent. Both meaning the fact that the other species is also asur, the fact that the goat's mother is asur, and the fact that the Chosek Gedolei is asur. We'll combine them together, so to speak, and come up with a commonality, a common denominator, which will establish that Achosek Tana is asur as well. Says the more Mahai Tesi. How are you going to learn? Which one is going to provide the source? Let's do one at a time. Tesi Me'imai. Let's try to derive it from the mother. Can't cook a goat with his mother. Likewise, not with the achaisik tana. Well, you can't compare. Mala imay. Perhaps mother is different. Because there exists a separation factor there. Regarding shchita on the same day, shkei nesri me b'shchita, which doesn't apply to just a goat with a goat. A mother and offspring. Well, this sort of suggestion that the ban of cooking together is related to the fact that they can't be shechted together, that will be disproven from Achaisik Gedola, the older goat, which is not a mother, has no issue with being shechted on the same day, and still you can't cook them together. Achaisik Gedola Techiach. Apparently it's not related to that reason. Well, Malachaisik Gedola, you can't prove anything from Achaisik Gedola, because there exists another separation factor, which doesn't exist with the younger goat here. That older goat from a different class, from a different year, a different season, cannot be combined with this young goat here for Maser Behema, as opposed to the second young goat that we're talking about, the Chaisik Tana, that can join together with this first goat. So perhaps it can be cooked together. To say that the ban of cooking together is related to the fact that it can join for Maser Behema can be disproven from looking at the mother. A young mother can be joined together with a young offspring in Maser Behema, and still you can't cook them together. So you can't attribute the ban of cooking together to this reason or that reason, because what you find here, you don't find there. The reason that's here is not, apparently it's not related to those reasons. Chazar then, you're going back and forth like a ping pong. The reason you have on this side is not kiroizeh, like the reason you have on the other side, and vice versa. So you have to come up with some sort of formula that ties it all together, some sort of commonality. So what's the common denominator between the mother of this goat and the Achaisik Gedola? Shehu basar basal vashal b'chalav. We have a piece of meat which is banned with respect to being cooked with chalav, no matter what it is. So the same formula can be said regarding Achaisik Tana, goat with a goat. Shehu basar basal vashal b'chalav. Look, you have a piece of meat and you can't cook it with milk. I asked the Gemara, Yachi. Okay, so once you've sort of come up with this formula, which allows you to include the older goat as well. Why do we need a pasuk for that? Yachi, if that's the case, Achaisik Delinami, the older goat, with respect to the cooking with the younger goat, Nami Tesi Mibenai could also be learned through this joint sourcing system. And Rashi Amud Beis explains how this is going to work. He says like this. What do we have established so far? In its mother's milk, and we also included a different species, like a para, right? So between the two of them, we can come up with the following formula. Look, you can't cook with its mother, despite the fact that they can join together by Maser Behema. Certainly, the older goat, which cannot join together, should not be cooked together. Well, mother has a separation factor. You can't shech them on the same day. Well, that notion is disproven from looking at the para. Cow has no such prohibition of shechting with a goat on the same day, and still you can't cook them together. Well, para cannot be crossbred with this goat, and doesn't join regarding maser either. Well, no. Mother will disprove that point, because you can crossbreed with the goat child with the goat mother, and also joins together maser behema, and still you can't cook. So basically, you're going back and forth. So you have to come up with some sort of formula that encompasses both, which is it's meat and milk. Same with the older goat. Why a new pasuk for that? And you're right. So the extra pasuk is not needed for that. Ella, no. So what do we need? What's it for? Look at the side. It's needed for another halach. What about in its own milk? Can one cook a goat in its own milk that was drawn from it during its lifetime? Look at the sign. We have a brisa. cannot be cooked in its mother's milk. Perhaps it's only banned regarding its mother's milk. We turn to Talmud Bavli. What about cooking the goat in its own milk? Amris, once again we have a kavol chaymer. Now it gets a bit more complicated. Amris, kavol chaymer. Uma b'mokim sholei nesar pri ma'im b'shchita. In pri b'shchita. Now before we begin, let's just clarify the terms here. Pri means an offspring. It can take on different forms. It just means a product of, a derivative of a source. Aim, it means, it can mean the mother, it can mean the producer of that offspring, it can mean the source of that derivative. It's going to take on different forms. Pri is the product, aim is the source, just to keep it clear and simple. So let's go again. Regarding the halacha of shechting on the same day, there's no problem shechting a pri and pri. Right? If you have two offspring of the same animal, could do shechita on them on the same day. So pri and pri gets a check. Nevertheless, regarding the same halacha of shechting on the same day, nasa pri ma'im, is still prevented from shechting the offspring with the mother b'shchita on the same day, right? So pri and pri is good, but still pri ma'im is asur. Certainly regarding cooking together, with the pri and the pri are asur. In this case, pri and pri means the meat, which was birthed from this mother, and the milk, that was milk from this mother. So they're both products of, right? You can't cook them together. That's the classic Isra of Basa B'chalav, right? Malkam Shenesa, pri and pri b'bishul. So regarding bishul, regarding cooking together, where you may not join a product with another product, the meat and the milk which come from this same source. So you see it's more severe. We don't even allow pri and pri. Certainly, we don't allow pri with the source, which means a piece of goat with its own milk. Right? Because the milk is the product and the meat is the source of that product. And then, of course, shanasa, we should ban pri ma'im b'bishul, cooking the product with its source. There you go. So you can't cook together milk with its own meat. Oh, comes the pasuk to add that as well. Why a pasuk? We have a kavol chaymer. Halam alikra ha'asila. We've already learned it from the kavol chaymer. Amar chadvoy bar ami. It's not so simple. B'shem dikla memer. You can go and challenge the kavol chaymer. Look. So now we shift to the halachas of kilayim, of crossbreeding different types of animals. So we have a sus, susya, right? Male and female horses. We have a chamor, donkey. We have a preda, which is a mule. A crossbreed between one and the other, right? You can only mate together a sus and a sus, or a chamor and a chamor. You can't mate sus with chamor or a preda with either one because you're crossbreeding. So you have a sus ben susya. Let's picture it. You have a horse, son of a female horse. So there's no issue there, right? They can crossbreed at the same time. But he has a half brother. Achi preda is a brother of a mule. So this mother horse interacted with a donkey, which produced a preda, which is now the half brother of this horse, son. That will prove that's not so simple. Now this kavol chaymer is not so clear. What does that mean? Look, also pri and pri. In this case, despite the fact that one pri is also with the other, you can't mate this product with that product. The sus, which is a pure sus, cannot interact with the preda, despite the fact that they're both products of the same source, of the same mother. The reason is because the brother is not a pure source. There's a father involved. There's a donkey. So because of the father's element, the father's contribution, so to speak, the father's presence, he's not really his full brother. He's a different type. We'll get to that in a minute. But on the surface, it appears like really they're both two products of the same source, of the same mother, and still they cannot interact umutar pri ma'im, despite the fact that the pri and the pri are banned, but the pri with the mother is okay. The sus can interact with the susya. So back to our question of basar b'chalav, you see that it can be so. You can have pri and pri which are aser, and still a pri with the aim is mutter. So perhaps basar and chalav, which are both pri, products of an animal, are aser, but still the pri with its own aim, the milk with its own meat, of its own, same goat, would be mutter. So we're seeking to disprove the notion of the kal v'chomer. Says the Gemara, it's incorrect. The matchup isn't correct, because there, your premise was that the horse with his half-brother are called pri and pri, and they're aser. They're not pri and pri. The mule is not really a matching entity to the sus, because the sus is a pure sus ben susya without a chamar involved in his life, and the half-brother, the prey that has a father, was a chamar. So they're different entities. They're not both pri. It's not pri and pri. Not both sourced from the same source, because the prey does not fully source from this horse mother. Some zerha avhu dekagarim. There, the issue is because the father's contribution is diverting that preda. That's causing the issue. That's causing that separation. I'll even prove it to you, because let's say if we turn the tables around, let's switch the equation around, you'll see I'm right. The Hapered ben Susya. Let's switch the whole equation. The mother's a Susya, right? A horse. And the offspring is a parrot, because she interacted with a donkey. So this offspring, this mule, is half and half. And he has a brother likewise, who is a mule as well. Achi Preda. By the way, not brother, Preda means a female, okay, sorry. Female donkey, female mule. Achi Preda. Yichiach. That's going to prove my point, because here you have the products being allowed to interact with each other. Shemuta pri and pri. Right? This mule can interact with the other mule. V'asa pri ma'im. But he can't interact with his own mother, who's a pure source, and he's only half a pure horse, and he's only half a horse. Right? So you see that it's not because pri and pri is aser, it's all about what's going on, in the totality of the equation. So we no longer really have anything to confront the kal v'chomer, the basar b'chalav kal v'chomer with. It holds up. Again, what are we seeking to achieve? We're trying to figure out whether one may cook two parts of the same goat, its meat with its own milk. And the point was, well, you certainly can't, because if pri and pri is aser, typically a piece of meat which comes from a mother animal, right, born off a mother animal, and the milk off that mother animal cannot be cooked together, certainly the pri with its own meat. And we didn't really disprove it from the halacha of kalayim. Elamar Marbred Ravina. I'll tell you what the issue is. Here comes another challenge. You can say like this. I'll show you a case where pri and pri is aser, but pri with its own source is mutter. Very similar case, except here we're dealing with people. You have a shifcha maidservant, and she had a son, an eved, a slave. A goyish, maidservant, and a goyish slave. Achim shechreres. Now this son, the slave, happens to have a sister, a slave as well, but she had been released, set free, in which case she has a status of a Israeli. That will disprove our whole point. Because here we have a case where both children of this mother cannot interact with each other, because he is an eved and she is released from bondage. She's a different status. She also prima pri. So despite the ban of pri and pri, in this case, umuta pri ma'im, but this Eved can interact with his mother, because they're both of the slave variety. So you see that one thing doesn't necessarily lead to the next. Just because the pri and pri is asr doesn't mean the pri and aim will be asr. Likewise, by the basar b'chalb. So as once again, no. Hasam get shichru the kagarim. The reason why the Eved cannot mate with the shechreris is unrelated to the fact that they're both coming from the same source. Just the opposite. The sister's already been released. She has a newfound status. They get shichra, the released document, change their status. That's what separates them. The Eved, I'll even prove to you that in fact this is the reason. The Eved ben shechreris. If we switch around the equation, you'll have a reverse result. The Eved ben shechreris. Let's say his mother had been released from bondage, and he's still an Eved. Achi Shifcha, he has a sister who's still in bondage. That will prove my point. Because in this case, the table is turned. Shemota pri and pri. So both offspring can interact with each other. Eved with the Shifcha, no problem. Good shidduch. Despite the fact that also pri ma'im, he can't interact with his mother, who's already been released. So you see, it's all a matter of the circumstance. It's not necessarily connected to the label pri or the label aim. So, we're back to square one. Perhaps we can use a kal v'chomer to prove that one may not cook a piece of meat in its own milk. Elo maravida bar avin. I have another avenue of challenge. You can challenge it like this. Kalai zroim mechichu. I'll prove it from kalai zroim, the isser to plant together, to mix two types of seeds. She'asur, in this case, Rashi explains, the pri is the seed. Why is it a pri? Because it is produced by the ground, which is the source, which is the aim, the motherland, right? She'asur pri and pri, you can't mix two types of seeds. Umuta pri ma'aim, but you could mix one seed with its mother, with the earth. So you see, one thing doesn't necessarily lead to the next. Well, says the Gemara, the starting point here is that pri and pri is asur. What do you mean pri and pri? Mixing two seeds. In what? How? In the ground. So it's not the pri and the pri that are affecting each other, it's with the ground. Klum nesar pri and pri. This whole ban of one seed with the other is only elai ha'aim. It's through the mother. The motherland is the medium for making this isur. So it isn't pri and pri that are asur, it's with the aim, a whole different equation. I'll prove it to you. You place some wheat and barley in the same container, let them sit there. That's not an issue. As long as there's no soil involved. So once again, we have no kasha on our kal v'chomer. Let me tell you what the issue is. Again, what are we seeking? We're seeking to clarify. What about cooking a gdi with its own chalav, right? We have a chalav ima in the pasuk. What about its own chalav? Milk that was milked off the goat, and now you have the meat of that same goat. Can you cook them together? Well, certainly not. Pri and pri is asur, certainly pri with the egg. Elon Rav Ashi, not so simple. Maybe you can challenge it like this. Mala pri and pri. Certainly, pri and pri are asur. And again, pri and pri in this case means a standard piece of meat, which was born from a mother. A standard container of milk, which was milk from a mother. Those two cannot be cooked together. You know why? Mala pri and pri shken shnei gufim. They're both two entities. This is coming from a young calf that was born, a young goat that was born from that mother, and this is the milk of that mother. Two different things. Talking about pri ma'aim as opposed to meat in its own milk. Sheken guf echad. They're one and the same entity. Mixing two things means, by definition, it means two things which are inherently separate. You can't mix them together. You can't join them together to create this new explosion, this new clash, this new entity called basar b'chal. But when they're, to begin with, one and the same entity, it's coming from the same goat, the meat and the milk, perhaps that's not so terrible. That's why we require a pasuk, an extra pasuk b'chalev imay to cover this as well. Okay, so bottom line, we have b'chalev imay stated 3 times. So we have 2 extra. One is to tell you, even a para and a rachel will be an issue, and even its own milk. How do we even know that basar b'chalav is forbidden for consumption? Shenamar lo yiseichal kol te'eva. Pasuk says, don't eat anything which is te'eva, disgusting. Kol sheti'afti lach, anything which I have distance from you. Rashi says, Kol she'asarti lach, l'tavoy, l'shrachti mimeno, to keep away from it. It's not for you. It's not becoming to you. It's beneath you. For instance, basar b'chalav, which the Torah banned. Don't cook it. Right? So anything like that is harehu b'bal toichel. It may not be eaten as well. Now this pasuk, by the way, is there's a general pasuk, right? Anything which I command you to keep away from, to keep a distance from, should not be eaten. Rashi adds that let's say the basar b'chalav was cooked by a minor who's not really obligated, or a goy. Interesting. Rashi says that's also included, because after all, the Torah did ban this cooking. The Torah says, don't cook this. This doesn't belong together. Right? It's a tayeva. Disgusting. It's not for you. So that's why we consider it to be asur b'achila. Okay. Ve'eni ela b'achila. So at this point, we only know about refraining from eating. Bano minai. What about the isra to have any benefit from it? The answer is Kedar Rabbi Avo. Dam Rabbi Avo and Rabbi Lozo. Kol makom shenamar lo yoichal. Whenever we find in the Torah one of the following phrases, lo yoichal, lo yiseichel, lo yiseichlu, it's not limited to eating. Echad isra achila, ve'echad isra no. Mashma, it covers eating and any benefit. How do I know? Because by nevela, by a carcass, the Torah has to go out of its way and tell you can have benefit from it. You can sell it if you want. Sell it to a guy. Why does the Torah have to permit selling? I mean, not eating it. To tell you that even though it only says don't eat it. Don't eat means don't eat it with your mouth. Don't have any sort of intake from it. Any sort of benefit, any sort of pleasure. And that's why the Torah has to go out of its way and say, well, nevela is an exception. This one you can sell. But otherwise, typically, something which is forbidden. La'achila. Achila covers all forms of hano, including, and that covers basar b'chalav as well. Ad sheyifratcha kosav. Until and unless the Torah specifies for you that hano is different. Just like it did by the nevela. Kederach shepartach b'nevela, where it says, leger. Ger over here is really a guy who's adhering to some mitzvahs, the 7 noachide laws. You meant to give it to him as a gift. He's allowed to eat nevela. Look, it doesn't cost you much, or you can't really sell it. You're in a place where only Jews are around, and it costs you a few pennies, and for him it's valuable, it's a meal. Give it to him as a gift. L'ger ben asina, or by a guy, b'mechir, you can sell it to him. The Sani, we have a brayso regarding this matter. So bottom line is, before we proceed, from here we know that by basar b'chalav, where it says, Leiseichel, right? We said Leiseichel kol te'eva covers basar b'chalav as well. You can't eat and you can't have ano. Okay, let's move on to the nevela. L'sanya. Leiseichel kol nevela, you shouldn't eat a nevela. Rather, la gera shebasharecha, your local ger, the ger toishav, the guy who's living amongst you, titnana v'achal, let him have it and enjoy it. Or second option is machat l'nachar, sell to a guy. Now we limit it to these two methods of transfer. Sell to a guy, gift it to a ger, and the ela leger b'nesina. At this point, we only know that you can gift it to a ger, or sell it to a guy. What about if he wants to sell it to a ger or give it to the guy? Leger b'mechira. Minayin, could I sell it to a ger? Tamalama, yeah. Leger titnena oy machar. Because if we take a close look at the pasuk, the wording of the pasuk goes both ways. It says, lo yiseichel kol nevela, don't eat a nevela, right? La gera shebesharecha titnena v'achala, give it to the ger, oy machar. So you can stop right there. Like put a comma there. Two options, give it or sell it to the ger, and then you can go back and say, titnena v'achala oimachar, give it or sell it, lenachri, and read on further in the pasuk. So basically, both options apply to both people. Otherwise, the pasuk would have worded itself differently. It would have said, give it to the ger and sell it to the guy. But the fact that the Torah sort of bundled together these two terms, selling and giving, between, on one side it has the ger, on the side the guy, to tell you that both apply to both. What about selling it to a ger? You can give it to him or sell it to him. What about the opposite? To a guy, can I give it to him as well? Yep. Titnana, you can give it as a gift, or sell it. Nimsa. Bottom line is, echad ger, echad gecham, whether it's a ger or a guy, both methods of transfer are okay. Bein, b'mechira, b'mesina, according to Rameir, both are legal. Rabbi Daimon, no, got to follow the literal structure of the pasuk. Dvarim kiksava, the way it is, that's the way you do it. Leger b'nesina, you want to give it as a gift only to the ger. You can't give a guy a gift. It's an isser, so you can't give. You want to give it to a guy, you can sell it. My time at the Rabbi Yehuda, where's Rabbi Yehuda coming from? Well, because if Rameir's approach to the pasuk is correct, that both apply to both, the pasuk would leave out the word oy. Oy is a separating word. Rather, the pasuk would say like this: don't eat the nevela. Right? Without the word oy. Oy lamali. Why is there a word oy between the giving and the selling? Oy lamali shmami, no. Apparently. The dvarim kichsavanu das is coming to tell you. Follow it literally. These two separate modes of transfer are distinct and separate and apply to different people. Leger ben asina. You have two options, but only these two. As a gift to a ger, as a sale to a guy. Rameir responds, what's the ay doing there? Hi ay lahaktim. The ay is coming to tell you that there's an order, a priority. You have an equal choice between these two options. You can either give it as a matana to a ger for free, or sell it to a guy. Which one are you supposed to do? Nisina the ger, giving it to a ger is more important than selling it to a guy. So that's the point of the ay. Not to preclude selling it to the ger, not to preclude giving it to the guy. But if you're faced with a choice, the ger is not going to buy it, right? Either give it to him as a gift or sell it to a guy, you can do the first one. Rabbi Yehuda, he responds, well, for that we don't need a pasuk, it's obvious. Lahagdim, to precede, to give priority. Nesina, the ger, gifting it to the ger, come versus selling it to a guy. We don't need a pasuk for that. Svara, it's plain logic. Why? Svaru, ze'ata mitzvah l'achiyasa. You have a obligation to support. Yeah, to support the ger toishav amongst you. As opposed to a guy, where no such obligation exists. So of course, if you're faced with an equal choice, of course you have to give it to the ger for free. And again, Tesis points out, Tesis elsewhere says, look, we're not talking about major loss. It's in the Jewish community, it's not really going to fetch much if you sell it, so it's a couple of pennies, and for him it's really valuable, so he meant to give it to him for free. Over selling it to a guy. Okay, but in any case, what we do see from this Brisa is that the Torah had to go out of its way, so to speak, to allow having a selling, an avela, because leiseichel means any form of hana, if not specified otherwise. Therefore, by basar b'chalav, where we know you can't eat it, eating means all forms of ingestion, all forms of benefit, including isra hana. Okay, so let's do a quick chazar of today's daf. We started with Isser Achalal Isser. We discussed the status of Mechalav, which is exempt from Basar B'chalav. The extra B'chalev Imois is coming to cover the ban of cooking, not only with Egdi, but also with a different type of Chalav, of a different type of animal, whether it's a Parah, a Rachel. We spoke about a Chayzek Doila, Chayzek Tana, or even with its own milk. And we learned the source for Issa Basar B'chalav, Isser B'achila, and Isser Hana as well. All the best to you.